we focus on the economy now, and President Akufo-Addo says he stands vindicated today when he said, we know how to bring the economy back, as he touts the government's achievements in blazing through the debt exchange program under the IMF and saving the economy some $4.7 billion in negotiations with the Eurobond holders. The question, though, is what does the end to the debt exchange mean for our economy? Is the economy back on track? Are we out of the woods yet? Are businesses feeling the impact of the gains being touted by government? We're going to break down the issues this morning, and we're joined by our guests. We have Dr. Richmond Etiahene. He joins the conversation. He, of course, deals with a lot of these matters. And we also have joining the conversation the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Anani Entry. Both of them join us for the conversation this morning. Dr. Etiahene, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Dr. Anani Entry, good morning to you too. I believe we don't have Anani Entry yet, but I'll also get our next guest, Charles Kusi Apiakubi, Head Business and Economic Bureau. He also joins the conversation. Later, we'll bring in Dr. Anani Entry. So you are with Guta, right, Charles?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. But
yes,
let me start with Dr. Etiahene. We've had some conversations on remittances and other matters, and I know that there have been rebuttals by the Bank of Ghana. I'll give you an opportunity to quickly touch on those before we get into the bit about the debt restructuring and the gains that have been touted as having been made. Doc, quick one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to take this opportunity also to put things clear. You know, a lot of the Bank of Ghana is making what we call PR gymnastics, because they haven't answered any of the questions and they just dance around it. And I'm urging them, and information given to the public is also, part of them are falsehood and baseless. And what I'm saying is that since 2020, the remittances has been going down or stagnated. But in their report, they say the remittances are going up. I find it quite incredible. I don't know which data they are following. And again, they said yesterday that the fintechs are colluding with the banks. It doesn't reflect in any part of the banks. I have the chance to do some job with some of the banks, and I'm told that what they are saying is it is not true. And you see, it keep on people like, what is sad, Ben, what is sad is that the interview that I did with you, they took the interview and plagiarized it. That is the saddest thing.
Wait, hold for me. You're saying the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, took our interview and plagiarized it?
And plagiarized it. Yeah, they plagiarized it. I don't know whether people do understand plagiarism. You just pick the things that we discuss and say a media house without even referring to the writer. I mean, what sort of intellectual bankruptcy is that? I urge them to get it right. And I'm giving them 21 days because I have more data and I'm going to reveal it. Because you cannot challenge the World Bank data, which I have confirmed. You are underreporting. And this underreporting comes because the role of the fintech. Yesterday, a statement that they made that is even serious is that there is nobody is withholding foreign exchange as against the Foreign Exchange Act. That is not true. That is completely false. And I'm challenging them, whoever put that issue on he should go and retract it and get the facts right. I was talking about the gaps between World Bank data and Bank of Ghana data. And then you go and you just use English. You didn't answer of the question. Even if you were plagiarizing, I would have preferred that you speak to the data. We talk about data and science and figures. You just dance around it.
Okay.
And I'm urging the governor, whoever is the spokesman, to come back and do a proper PR. What they did here is a disgrace. It's a complete disgrace and shamble. And I didn't answer any question. I have spoken to about 20 people in this country. Right. They all say that they didn't answer your question. You were talking about gaps between what Bank of Ghana report and the fintech and the World Bank.
Right.
And then you go around and dance around it without, and then you even, the saddest thing, Ben, let me plead with you. What is the plagiarism that is what hurts me. Without even acknowledging the person's work. And then you say a media house. What media house? And the media house was your platform. So why couldn't they even mention your name? So that we can say that I came there and we discuss it. So I'm giving them 21 days. Let them retract it and let them get the data and the facts right. Other than that, I will continue to release the data and explain the data to the public. Thank you very much.
Hold for me. We're getting into the next conversation, but let me bring in Charles. Charles, you're with Guta. And I've seen some stories in recent times where Guta, for example, says, we pay the CD equivalent of duty calculated based on the dollar rate. And that is, something you fired at the GRA. But on the back of these developments, where these gains purportedly have been made, what is your understanding of the debt restructuring and how far we've come? Of what benefit has it been to you as members of Guta thus far?
All right. So, very good morning to you. I'm Dr. Tiahine, and to your viewers, and of course to the president of Guta. To the debt restructuring, of course, the basic key appreciation that we have is government was having challenges in paying its loans, and so you have to look at how best you could look for moratorium and some payment holidays. Yes, it is said that they've agreed on some principles, but it's not been effective. So for now, no one can talk about the benefits of a debt restructuring in the system now until this final approval from IMF is given. That is the fact. So there's no need for us to start celebration until we realize the effects of such agreement having a ripple effect in the system. However, it's an awaited results that have been kept for far too long because of the economic ramification of Ghana being blacked out from the capital markets and the lack of confidence this has brought into our investment environment and the ripple effect in collapsing our economy. So we will commend the team that led the conversation, but this is not the first time. We've been here before. The question is, what happened that we gone back to the same thing? Are we growing as a country? The effect of some of these things, consequences are on business growth, economic growth, and the livelihoods of people. Yes, the president touted that they have the ability to bring the economy back, and they are doing so. But we will leave that to the politicians to make such pronouncement. For us as businesses, we want to look at the economic indicators, how they are affecting our businesses. So if you take a typical inflation, I mean, just to pose whether the government is on track in our economic revamp, inflation in 2021 was about 9.98%. In 2022 was 31.71%. 2023 was 37.53%. And we are doing 22.27 now. So I asked the question, is there any economic recovery? You look at the trend, it's been increasing.
Hello, Charles. Hello, Charles. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It appears we're having challenges with the connection of Charles via Zoom. We will try to see whether we can reach him via phone so that we can have a proper conversation without the hitches. But I'll come to you, Dr. Tiahine, on the same point. Maybe just looking at the timelines, the Ghana defaulting on the external debt in December 2022, March 2023, engagement with international bondholders, and then in January, an agreement in principle for bilateral debt. All of that has culminated in some of what we are seeing now. Well, formal talks with international bondholders began in March 2024. Then in April, we had that bondholders' initial proposal being insufficient. And then in June 2024, we had an agreement in principle. We'll walk you through the rest of them. But Dr. Tiahine, do tell me, You've heard Charles, a member of GUTA, talking about what has happened in between and the promises ad nauseum, which have not necessarily resulted in any reliefs for them. He talks about inflation. He was walking us through inflation over the years and how it has impacted them. What is your reading of the matter on that very point?
Thank you very much. I believe Charles was doing a very good job before he got the Zoom just got cut up. I think if you're measuring economic indicators, Charles said about inflation. I mean, let me be also frank with Ghana. The inflation level that we are in the moment in Ghana, I think is classified, if you look at international accounting standard, we are a hyperinflation country. Any country that goes above 20, you are hyperinflation. So if people glorify themselves that inflation is coming down, when your sister country, Ivory Coast is 33.6, Togo is 6.8, and you are traveling in 20s, and then you will say that the economy has turned around. Like Charles said, let them use their own definition, how the economy is turning around. A depreciation. I mean, I'm not saying it from my end. Bloomberg has just said it's the worst currency in the whole of the sub-region. Is that the way the economy turns around? I mean, if you ask Sister Bochi sitting there, if you go to the market, you really feel the inflation and the currency exchange. So when people say the economy has turned around, because we as a country, we don't even have your own indicators, this multilateral team will come here and tell you that your economy is turning around, and then they will take it. But we have not, as a country, has designed methodology, how we would work our inflation and our GDP and the KPIs. So they come and tell you, and our people will take it holistically without looking at the reality on the ground. So if you ask the businessman, if you ask ordinary Ghanaian, I don't think the economy has turned around. Look, when in 2016, the inflation was about 15.1. The currency was 4.1. Compare that and use the nominal rates. You find that inflation is nowhere near where we were. So if people say we have turned around, my brother, I find it very difficult to understand where they are coming from, whether they have the same indices and the matrices that we use so that we can say economy has turned around. For me, I just agree with Charles. I don't see it anywhere, and I don't think we are close to it, because I think it's the beginning of the problems and the challenges to come.
Right. Let me bring in the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Anani Entry. We've seen him many times on many occasions hitting the streets and all that. Interestingly, he's hit the streets today as well. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well. I hope you are too.
Yes, by the grace of God.
Right. I do know that you've hit the streets this morning. I want to start from there. Why are you on the streets again this morning?
Well, the Minister of Finance has not made financial provisions that will enable the Bank of Ghana to revoke the licenses of NDK Financial Services, SIC Life Savings and Loans, SDC Financial Services, and Bond Savings and Loans to revoke their licenses and pay us our deposits just as it was done during 2017-2018 when licenses of some financial SDIs were revoked and their deposited funds paid to them. The Bank of Ghana says these four institutions has become insolvent, and under the Banking Act, if you become insolvent, you must go through a resolution mechanism. And the resolution mechanism the Bank of Ghana has determined is revocation of their licenses. And the Bank of Ghana maintains that they are willing to revoke the licenses today if the Ministry of Finance makes financial provisions towards the payment of our deposits to us. That is why we are on the Ministry of Finance. And until they do that, they make financial provision. They come and tell us that they have provided for this, for the licenses to be revoked for us to receive our lock-up funds, we will continue to picket every Wednesday at the Ministry of Finance.
Which are the four institutions again?
NDK Financial Services, SIC Life Savings and Loans, Bond Savings and Loans, and SDC Financial Services. Bank of Ghana says they have become insolvent, and so their licenses must be revoked. But they are waiting on the Minister of Finance to make financial provisions towards that, so that as soon as they revoke these licenses, they will pay us our deposits, just as was done in 2017, 2018, when they revoked the licenses of some specialized deposit-taking institutions and paid clients their deposits. This is a simple matter.
Right. So you're going to be picketing there every Wednesday. But let me find out from you, when it comes to the latest debt restructuring, as far as the externalities are concerned and the gains that supposedly have been made, the President, Akufo-Addo, is touting and saying that they had said they knew how to bring the economy back to life and that they are doing exactly that. You've heard the finance minister in recent times talking about the gains they have made, the billions they have saved. But are you feeling that impact? And what is your position on that?
I am very happy the government has made, or the nation has made that savings, which according to the minister is in excess of $8 billion. That is good news. We must use part of these savings to clear all locked-up funds in this industry. This financial sector must be cleaned properly. And by the grace of God, if we have gotten this $8 billion, then we don't have any more challenges talking about we don't have money to clean. Now government must pay everyone whose money is locked up in the financial market as a result of the inflow that the savings that we have made. Only a little part of these savings can clear all these lock-up funds. Then the rest, we sit down and plan properly how to use this. If you ask me, my view is that a large proportion of this fund, after clearing these financial sector issues for everybody to get his or her money back, we must commit part of this fund into what I have been championing, advocating when I was at SEC, Infrastructure Development Company. And I have said that infrastructure fund that government established, I'm happy it was the advocacy I made when I was at SEC that resulted in this establishment. My view was that it should be like an equity fund. Government should come in with not more than 20%. Let the internal and the external financial institutions come in with the rest. So if we target about 2 billion infrastructure fund, government comes in with only 200 million. The rest is by the private sector. Then they will use based on their balance sheet, go to the market, float bonds to develop our infrastructure in this country,
right,
which will pay back our roads, our bridges. So now that we have gotten this money, it is easier for government to establish that with the private sector, and then we go. So we must use this money very, very effectively. An infrastructure development company is the way to go. Now government say we didn't have money. Now we have the money. Let's put some, engage the private sector and set up an infrastructure development company in this country and develop infrastructure that will pay back itself. And let us be a little, so that we free government budgetary allocation for the development of infrastructure in this country.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Edu Anani-Antwi. I know you're on the move, so I'll let you go for now. He is convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. Charles, can you hear me now?
Hear you now.
Okay. Let me just ask you a simple question. On the back of some of the claims that were made by the finance minister, Dr. Amin Adam, some economists came out and said, listen, these are not the real figures. But I want to find out from you, do you actually believe that we have made all these savings that the finance minister says we have on the back of the closure to the debt restructuring program?
I cannot speak to it because...
Charles, you would have to speak up. Please speak up. Speak up.
Can you hear me now?
You sound a bit low, but go ahead.
Okay, I cannot either confirm or otherwise of the claims made by the finance minister because I have not cited any document whatsoever he is making his claims for. However, we want to believe him on the principle of good faith that as finance minister will not lead this and who to us. So we will only watch how some of these things bring speed to business and also make profit. Until such a time, we cannot doubt. Because like the old adage, that is key. If the bad priest prophesied then when Omen also, we want but
Charles, we're losing you. The connection is pretty bad. Maybe you could just reposition yourself a bit and try again. Charles, just reposition yourself and let's try this again. Hello, Charles. All right, let me bring in Dr. Etiahene. What are your thoughts on this? Do you actually believe that the claims that are being made are true? Because if we have that kind of money or those resources, then we could feed that back into the economy, right? What's your take?
Thank you very much. It's in accounting wise. What you're doing is the interest that you're supposed to pay that has been reduced to give you that breathing space.
Right.
So if the year hasn't come or you haven't done it, there is no way. You only anticipate that you should have paid, say, 3 billion, but you're now paying, say, 400 million. So it is about the debt rescheduling and the rate profiling that brings in. So it's not just a straight currency that comes in. I mean, it is the savings you make from not paying a certain interest that gives you that leeway. So if you haven't paid, maybe what you can say that in 2023, we didn't pay. So that would be a savings to that amount. But you see, the minister is talking about talking to up to, say, 2026. That's why he's projecting that amount of money. But even that one, it is not money that you are going to just get from overseas or what. It is the savings that you were used in the paying of the interest. That is why you are making that savings. So we shouldn't be jumping in the air, hopping and jumping as if something is coming in. No, and it is what we have done is that instead of you paying 3 billion, if the interest is 3 billion, you've been told not to pay a whole lot. So you make it savings up. So in the 2025, 2024, you make all these savings. That is whole thing about. So Ghanaians should be very, very circumspect about what is going on. It is not a question of jubilating of anything. It is not a question of that we have gotten this money in. It's not like, let me put it on record. It is not like the HEPIC, where there was debt forgiveness, where certain monies were foreign money came in. But this one is different. You're going to benefit because you're not going to pay the upright. You know, we pay about 2.5 to 3 billion every year on interest. And it is through this interest that they manage not to keep it on that level. That will bring us that savings. So that savings is not something that comes in straight away. So we shouldn't jubilate as it is. Because if the year doesn't come, or we're not able even to, as we defaulted, we could even default by not getting so much money to so that we can say we have saved it. So I want to make it clear to Ghanaians that the debt restructuring achievement is not something that comes with direct, it's an indirect. So we shouldn't be celebrate as such until we get the program going.
Right, Dr. Etiahene, I'll bring in Charles shortly. And what you're saying reflects my thinking exactly. It's not money that you are getting coming in. It's savings that you will make over time. So assume you owe the bank some debt, but now they say, oh, for the next few months, you are not going to be paying interest on that loan,
Interest.
then obviously there are some gains. I get that. So it also means that people shouldn't be too expectant. I mean, Guta, the pensioner bondholders, they shouldn't be expecting that any magic wand will be, flashed around and that things will be better with the economy. Is that what you're saying?
I think, Ben, you're just right. You're too right. I mean, I cannot dispute what you're saying. We have been in a bank before. If we do the restructuring, we tell you that you're not going to pay the interest, say 20%. We tell you that you're paying 10%. So that's between the 20 and 10 is the savings you make. So it is not something you jubilate and say that the money is somewhere coming in the economy. So those who doesn't understand the external debt restructuring are trying to take it as if some money is going to come from somewhere. Let us make it clear. As you said, it's not time for jubilation. It is a time that we should ask ourselves, why have we done so much distraction to ourselves? And now we are just going to squeeze ourselves, our ability not to pay the interest, to use it as a savings. So if you say that they should give you money to go and pay for the bonds, that money is not, you see, it's Latin. It's called nemo dat non cum habet. No one claims
You cannot
what
give
he has
what you do not have.
You don't have it. I mean, it is not money. 8 billion is not sitting there. If the 8 billion is sitting there, the CD, the dollar, the CD and the dollar, I think the dollar will move to 1.1 to a dollar.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's not there. It's not there. So your assertion is right. And people should not see it like Mr. Ken Thompson said yesterday. We should not see it as if something is going to come to help us. No.
All right. Let me bring in Charles one more time. Charles, can you hear me?
Yes, sound and clear. Can you hear me too?
I can hear you. You were making a point on interest, interest rate, or is it inflation over the years? Just walk quickly through that and let me shoot my next question.
Very well. I was trying to say that just to pose the touting of the president that they have the ability to bring the economy back and they are doing so. So I was giving you a trend of our inflation just to either confirm whether the president's statement is reflective in what is happening in the system. And of course, when you look at the trend, it does not actually support that claim that there's a turnaround in the economy. However, businesses are collapsing. A lot of businesses are complaining. Our debt level is going high with the bank. There's high delinquencies. A lot of businesses are also going through debt restructuring with the bank because sales have ceased. The economic activity has ceased within the business environment. We want to make this serious, point that we've got to a time and point in a time at a country that we shouldn't play politics with the economy because people are collapsing, people are dying because they see their business, they see their investment collapsing each and every day. So there's a need to take pragmatic steps to avoid the situation, not rhetoric. But as I said earlier on, we commend the finance team for able to achieve that milestone with a debt restructuring with the external debtors. Of course, money that we're supposed to pay them will be money that we can apply back into the economy to see our economy doing well again. And I know, of course, there have been some debt cancellation with a debt relief to us as a country, about $4.7 billion, which, of course, reduces our debt level. And, of course, will probably be the leeway for us to get back to the capital market. Yes, we need money to run this economy, so we commend them so well. However, there's a need for government also to take pragmatic steps to ensure that there's prudence in our financial faith, our fiscal faith. Is there a need for government to reintroduce the Fiscal Responsibility Act that will cap government expenditure and also cap the borrowing rate that government could probably borrow within the domestic market so that there will be some relief for businesses. The moment government increases expenditure, he puts the burden on business by taxation, and business is already collapsing. So there's a need for government to sit down, analyze the current situation, blind himself from politics, and see what legacy am I leaving for the business community. That is our core.
Well, we're going to have to cap it off here. I'll just take final words from both of you and then we can go. I'll start with you, Charles. because your connection has not been so stable. Final words. What are the expectations of Guta as far as this is concerned, realistically?
Right. Our expectation basically, we don't, just like Dr. Etienne said, we shouldn't have high hopes. But we're looking at leadership. And leadership here, I'm looking at responsibility from leadership. I'm not looking at accountability from leadership. Where leaders become responsible to the people that give them the power to govern us and take decisions that will be in the final interest of the little Ghanaian in the economy. So basically, that's our expectation, that from now to the end of December, the government will start introducing some pragmatic policies that will alleviate the burden that we are finding ourselves in as a country.
Right. Charles, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Chiahene, you have the final word.
Thank you. What I would say is that we shouldn't jubilate over this debt rescheduling or reprofiling. Because all that we are saying is that when come 2026, then bilateral payment starts. Come 2029, 2028, 29, the external Eurobond starts. So it is not a question for glorification or jubilation. What they should do is that what strategies are we putting ahead so that when this interest and principal become the payments accrued on its due, we'll be able to pay. Other than that, as I've said in various forums, and I'm going to say it here, if we don't take it with the jubilation, we are going to the debt trajectory posture of Argentina and Greek. For every 4 years, they go to IMF for debt rescheduling because you haven't put any strategy to be able to pay the outstanding interest that is due to them on 2020, 26 and 2029. And also, when you come to the internal debt restructuring, it has destabilized the whole system. I mean, it has you heard my friend from Guta. I mean, the businesses are, I spoke to the Ghana Chamber of Commerce not too long ago. People are folding up. They are folding up. So if we are looking at only somebody is saving you and you are not taking care of your internal matrices or KPIs, then you are in trouble. I mean, look at the level of non-performing in the industry, on the banking industry.
Right.
It's nothing to write home about. Contractors are not being paid 29 billion. Electric, what do we call it? This people in electricity or generation,
IPPs,
1.6 billion.
The IPPs.
So what are we celebrating? We are celebrating for what? Because we have certain things hanging our neck that we must be prepared to solve it until we solve that. I mean, government cannot continue to borrow, as my friend said. You go to you've left the bond market, and now you've gone into treasury bill market. You're borrowing as if that tomorrow is not there. I plead with them. Let them cut their coat according to their cloth. We don't see it. You see all these things that people are suffering. We don't see the expenditure control, the tight expenditure control.
Right.
Today you hear somebody has appointed this. Today you hear somebody has appointed that. Where are we going to get money to pay all these things? Let them be physically disciplined. Physically disciplined. So that we all tighten our belt.
Okay.
Today, as I say, I have tightened my belt. I cannot afford to pay certain things, but some people are living affluently as if Ghana is as it was in the 80s or in the 60s. No, let them begin to realize that things are tough, and let them also decide to be tough, not just spending thrift. Let us cut their coat. If we do that, maybe 2-3 years, we'll be able to pay the external debts. Service is very well, and the economy would also turn around. That is what I'll say for the time being, Ben.
Dr. Chiahene, thank you for joining the conversation. Those who joined this conversation, we had Charles Kusi Apiakubi. He is head of business and economic bureau. He's also with Guta. We also had joining the conversation, and they are out on the streets today picketing the Ministry of Finance. I'm talking about convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Anani Entry. And our last guest, whom you just heard speaking, Dr. Richmond Etiahene. He's a corporate governance and banking consultant. They joined us for this conversation. But stay, there's still a lot more action coming your way on the AM show. We'll be right back.